$19 tickets, $80 bag fees, and praying your customer doesn't read the fine print. You would call that Spirit Airlines. And as of May 2nd, 2026, you can now call it a dead airline. 34 years in the air, gone overnight. Flights canceled, customers stranded, 17,000 people without a job, although most of the pilots and flight crew will be picked up by other airlines. That's not turbulence, that's a crash landing, and it was a big one. Now, here's where things get spicy. Because depending on who you listen to, Spirit Airlines didn't just fail. It was killed off. Was it the government that did it? Was it the free market? What was it that killed it off? Or was it bad business? But here's the thing. It was killed off by government, by the markets, and global chaos. It was a perfect storm that shut it all down. So now let's cut through the noise on the right, the left, and the center. First thing to cut through the noise is let's have a reality check. Spirit lost over $2.5 billion since the pandemic in 2020. That's not a we'll bounce back next quarter money. That's we're bleeding out and smiling at the shareholders' money. And the shareholders were upset. So, what do all struggling companies have in common? They look for a lifeline. And that's a great thing. So here's the thing. Enter another low-cost airline, JetBlue. A $3.8 billion deal. A chance to scale. A chance for Frontier to survive. And then you had sleepy Uncle Joe's DOJ say, no, that's not going to happen. The Biden administration's DOJ blocked the merger in 2024, arguing it would reduce competition and hurt consumers, but Spirit Airlines went out of business. So it did hurt competition and it did hurt consumers. And a federal judge appointed by a Democrat backed that ruling and said the deal is dead as, well, everybody. Now, the right immediately jumps in and says, congratulations, you just regulated an airline out of existence. And look, there's a real argument to that. There really is, with the antitrust laws. Spirit wasn't competing on comfort. Nobody's writing poetry about how comfortable the Spirit seats really were. They competed on one thing, and that is a bad business, price. Dirt cheap, borderline disrespectful pricing. And when you remove the cheapest player from the survival equation, you don't usually get lower prices. You get higher prices. But hold on. Don't let Spirit off the hook just yet and say it was solely the government. Because there's the part that nobody wants to say out loud. Even without the DOJ, this thing was already on shaky ground and was about to die anyway. Spirit, like most companies, filed for bankruptcy. They came out of it, supposedly leaner, stronger, and refinanced their debt. And they filed again 5 months later. You would think the company would learn after the first filing, but no, that's not how it works. Yeah, see, this is not bad luck. That's a business model on life support. And this is where the free market guys lean back in their chair and say, everyone say it with me, yeah, this is exactly how it is supposed to work in the free market. Because as Kevin O'Leary put it, whether you like him or not, and some people like him, some people don't. I personally like him. Capitalism works because the losers die. You don't want to support bad management. It's brutal, yes. Is it correct? Absolutely. Wrong? That's debatable for people on the left, but for me it's not wrong at all because I'm a libertarian free market economist. And whether you think it's wrong, that depends on whether you think failure should be allowed or prevented. Because, let's be honest, Spirit's whole business model was made of a Fabergé egg. Thin margins, add-on fees for everything, growth at all cost. Then reality showed up and took a big 10-pound sledgehammer and hit that Fabergé egg and pop, it disappeared. Fuel costs went up. Labor costs went up, planes had engine issues, and competitors started copying their low cost strategy. Without the chaos of Spirit, they were able to do that. So now Spirit isn't special anymore. No market differentiation. It's just cheap and, well, struggling. And then came the knockout punch. Fuel prices doubled overnight. Now, why, you may ask? Global conflict tied to the U.S. Israeli situation involving Iran that were disrupting supplies through the Straits of Hormuz. And just like that, whatever recovery plan Spirit had left, well, that was gone like a fart in the wind. And that's really the sad part. Their CEO basically said, yeah, fuel prices, that was kind of what did it for us. So now what happens next? Bailout time, like all good governments try to do. The Trump administration floated a $500 million rescue plan, loan, possibly a government stake, a last-ditch save, and guess what? It failed. And you know why it failed? The creditors said no. The board said no. Negotiation collapsed. No bailout, no miracle, no heroic, great, inspiring comeback story. So now both sides are pointing the finger at each other in the political blame Olympics, like the Spider-Man meme. The right says the DOJ killed the merger. That killed the airline. The left says fuel prices and global conflict delivered the final blow. And the free market crowd, such as myself, say, good, weak companies should fail. Here's the truth nobody likes because it's not clean or convenient, and history and everything in this world is not clean, cut, and dry. This wasn't one bullet. It was a firing squad. Except all the guns were loaded and there's not just one. A weak business model, check. Denied a merger lifeline, check. Crushed by rising costs, check. Finished off by a global shock, check. That's not conspiracy. That is the perfect storm in business and market. And here's the uncomfortable question for you. If Spirit had merged with JetBlue, would it still be flying today? I would say probably. Or would those two merging together just be a bigger, slower disaster, a slow burn, if you will? And if the government stayed out completely, would the market have fixed this sooner? Yes, the market would have let Spirit go out of business. Or would more people have been burned in the process? Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about an airline, it's about having a principle. Companies should fail and deserve to fail if they are bad at business. They don't need to be saved. Do you believe this, and let's continue in the comments, that failing companies should be saved or just buried? I'm Jeff, and if this made you a little uncomfortable, made you go, wait, maybe the government isn't good at bailing companies out, good. That means you're starting to think and you're stepping out of the emotion of it. Now ask yourself this. Are you smarter than a libertarian? I'll see you all next Monday, and as always, stay free, stay informed, and stay accountable.